This is the Rivera M60 I'm selling on eBay. It's obviously 112 combo, all tube. If you know Riveras, then you probably know this amp pretty well. I am the second owner. I bought it from the original owner. I've had the amp, I think, 5 years. It's extremely versatile amp, both for recording or especially playing out because of the different things you can do. Um, with some things on here. You got the Ninja Boost on the clean channel, which actually breaks up and overdrives quite a bit. And then you got the what they call the Slave Master. That's kind of like another lead boost. You can use it for that. And then the way you can use the effects loop sends and return levels. That's what I used to do. Would put a delay in the effects loop and had it level set to where it would, when I kicked it on, it would boost for solos. And of course that works on lead or the clean channel. Lots of things you can do with this amp, and as far as recording, it is extremely versatile, and lots of great tones in it. Pretty martially on the dirty side, and the clean side's pretty Fendery. Of course, if you know Rivera's, that's kind of his thing. It's kind of a Marshall and a Fender in one amp. Let's talk a little bit about here. If you're not familiar with these, channel 1 is actually the overdriven channel. Of course, you have high and low inputs. You have a volume. This thing's not very clear. It's pretty blurry. Come on, thing, focus. On the bass control, you have a gain pull. It's your first gain boost. You have a notch on the mid. If you pull it out, it kind of changes the frequency the mids are centered around. The treble control is another gain boost. Of course, you can use neither one of those pulled, and it gives you a nice medium breakup. You can pull gain 1 or gain 2, and gain 2 is slightly more compressed than gain 1. Or you can pull them both together and just have tons and tons of saturation. It's not quite maybe the Mesa Rectifier or PV5150 type of gain as far as that much saturation, but it's plenty for me. And I usually play it with the pre-gain on 10 and just the first gain pull, and it seems more open and not as fuzzy sounding that way. It's a little more open and not as compressed. It's a bigger sound. Okay, moving over. Of course, you got a master volume there. Moving over to channel 2, which is your clean channel. You've got a volume, treble, mid, and bass, and a master on this one as well. And of course, every knob pulls on this. You have a bright boost on the treble. You have a middle notch on the mids. And on the bass, you have a bass contour. It's actually like a bass boost. As you can see, I'm only running the bottom on this thing. I like the bass boost pulled because the bottom end is bigger and fuller, but it's just different than without it pulled. But I'm just running it barely over 2 because of how much bass this thing has. And then of course you got your master, and on that you have a pull function for the Ninja Boost. And over here you have your reverb, which is actually pushes in to cut it off and on, which is a little weird. Same thing with the effects loop. You have a push, you push it instead of pulling it. But you have your Slave Master gain and level for that Slave Master lead boost thing, which I never really used. You can use it. It adds a little gain to whatever sound you already have, and then of course your volume to boost it. Then you have a focus and a presence control. Then also on you got your power switch and then the standby. You have high. If you push the standby up, it's high power. Standby down is low power. And on the back of the amp, I'm not going to try, it's up against a wall, and as you can see I've got stuff stacked here. You have a pentode and triode switch on the back of the amp, and with that you can effectively run the amp at 8 watts, 15 watts, 30 watts, or 60 watts. And yeah, I used to use this amp some in church a little bit, and I would use it on one of the like 8 or 15 watt settings, and then it's nice sound. You get the master volumes up pretty loud, and also do that to record with it sometimes. And, it's pretty cool sound when you do that. Of course, I've got the FS5 foot switch down here, which has your channel select, the slave master control to cut it off and on, to do your ninja boost on the channel 2, reverb off and on, and effects loop off and on. Everything on the amp works perfectly, sounds good. It has Simon's tubes in it, which are of course not made anymore, and they're hard to get, hard to find, and I was just going to use them in the amp until they were completely dead because they sound great. And I will set the camera down over here and play just a little. I have to run the volume really low or this flip camera will distort real easily, so it will sound a little fuzzy on the distortion maybe because the volume's low. This amp really sounds great when you get the master up about 4 and above. But I'll just run through the different gain settings on the dirty channel and show you stuff on the lead.